We're recording. Cool. Hi there. Welcome to another one of my Own Your Expertise interviews. I'm Emily Crookston, owner and decider of all things at the Pocket PhD. I'm the ghostwriter for Rebels, Renegades, and Mavericks, and I love helping experts with big ideas get those ideas out of their heads and into the hands of their fans. Today, I'm sitting down with Doris Fullgrabe. Doris is the owner of Building the Life You Want, and that's a coaching practice, and her signature offer is Your Love Profiles. So she does a really cool typing thing around love. So I'd love to talk to Doris more about that. So thank you for speaking with me, Doris. Can you tell us a little bit more about who you work with and what you do?
Hi, Emily. Thank you so much for having me. This is lovely.
Yeah,
Sure. So I am a Myers-Briggs and MBTI Master Practitioner, and I have been for over a decade. And I used to work in corporations and, leadership development and corporate trainings and such things. And now I work with couples, as you say. So the Love Profiles is using the personality type insights for both partners, comparing them side by side and highlighting where we are similar and where we may be different, and then how to bridge those gaps.
very cool. I really like that because I think, what's nice about this is so many couples struggle, and I think they struggle because they don't understand the other person's brain, right? They don't understand. They think just like me. So why are they, doing all these things that piss me off, right? Like,
Exactly.
and blaming them for, intentionally almost doing the things that annoy you, right?
Yeah.
And
You
so
hit
you
the
can,
nail right on the head.
yeah.
That's why I started it. I'm on record as saying that type saved my marriage, because now I know my husband is not pissing me off on purpose. It's
Right.
literally just the way his brain is wired.
Right.
And he knows the same about me. So
Yeah.
it's
And
good.
then, and of course, from there, I guess you can learn to, work with what you have, right? You can learn to say, use the right language to speak to them about your desires and your needs and, even out or, I don't know, iron out these little issues that can get in the way and cause a lot of strife within a marriage or a partnership, right?
Absolutely. The thing that I found in my practice since the beginning is, especially if you're not really raised or if you've never taken the time to know yourself, there's these big aha moments that come, and then eventually once you normalize, because newsflash, there are 16, the model that I'm working with has 16 different personality types. Every type has advantages and disadvantages, and every type is unique and beautiful and has potential in its own special way. So for individuals, even doing the self-awareness, once you realize that you are actually quite awesome just the way you are, there comes a relaxation, like you breathe out and things get normalized. And when you allow yourself to be who you are in a much better position to allow others to be who they are as well. And what you were saying, there isn't that competition, or there isn't this but we should be doing it this way, because if you can see the positive sides and the advantages of doing it another way, then whole new worlds open up.
Yeah, that's such a good point, that actually knowing more about yourself can also help with these little, points of strife and issues, because once you're more comfortable and confident with yourself, it doesn't have to be like, I think for myself, I'm starting to recognize when I'm feeling, I don't know, more sensitive or something, and maybe it's hormonal, or maybe I need to eat something, or I haven't had my coffee or whatever it is, but I'm a little bit sensitive. And so I'll hear my husband say something and that will trigger me. But then if I can say, wait a minute, you're being a little oversensitive here. He didn't mean it that way. It really can help diffuse the situation instead of escalating into this fight. Yeah. So I appreciate this. Yeah, really cool. I'm ISTJ, by the way.
Okay. Nice to meet you. Lovely.
Yeah, when I first took Myers-Briggs in grad school, I was just blown away by, it seems so accurate. And actually, my boyfriend and I at the time took it together. He had the book, and we actually took it in the book. And it was really helpful for, almost giving us a GPS for our relationship, I would
Exactly.
say.
And that's one of the beauties that I love about this particular model. You know, there are different models, but personality type or even self-awareness in general, it's not that you get a result and that's who you are, full stop. Like the way, and I'm sure some people actually use it that way, but that's not the way it was intended. So Carl Jung, whose theory this is all based on, stipulated that you come into the world with a predisposition to use your brain in a certain way. And that is the starting point. Those 4 letters that we get is how you came into the world. But that's not necessarily how you go out of it, right? So you make experiences, you have jobs. We know now through, neuroscientific research and brain plasticity that really the activities that we habitually do actually rewire our brain, and that has an influence on the expression of our type preferences, not to mention the culture we grow up in. So like, it's so rich and it's such a beautiful just landscape, and there's so much to explore. I've only been doing it for 10 years and I'm still learning new things, and my mentors have been doing it for 50 years and they are still learning new things. So it's really great for development. Cool. And just, when you start talking about human potential, it's good.
Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that, because I've taken the test again more recently, like within the past few years, and my J turned to a P since I've taken it. And I think that makes sense, because I do think I've let go a lot of the judgment side. I used to be very judgy. I was raised to be pretty judgy, a Catholic, that kind of upbringing. So yeah, I think that makes sense. Really interesting. Yeah. So how would you describe your path to becoming an expert?
My path to becoming an expert. Well, first of all, I don't even is it frowned upon in this particular series to call myself, maybe I'm not an expert yet, like maybe after the next book?
No, I think that a lot of people say that, and I always like to think of expertise as a journey. It's a path. It's not a one stop. You get to the top of the mountain. I think if you ask any expert, you ask Bill Gates, and he probably would say, "Oh, I'm still learning things."
Right.
So,
yeah.
I think that's
good. Okay. So now we've cleared that up, I would like I said, this is a topic that, because I can have shiny object syndrome, right? There are not many things that I stay with for very long if I don't get immediate kind of sense of satisfaction or sense of accomplishment or something. I've started many things that I haven't finished, but this is something that I'm still interested in, because it's about people. So I'm really interested in people, and my road to expertise then is, it started with being an expat myself. So I was born and raised in Germany. I studied in Scotland. I lived in London. I worked in Barcelona, where I met my husband. Wow. He's from the Canary Islands. We lived there. His work took us to Mexico and to Texas. And now we went through Manhattan and we're in Brooklyn.
Oh my gosh.
Now, so my initial hey, people are different. That's interesting. Can we learn more about that? Actually started working with expats. So doing cultural differences and doing cross-cultural trainings and talking to other couples saying, hey, I've moved these 5 times, and here are the pitfalls that I fell into. Let me save you that time, learn from my mistakes, kind of thing. Yeah. And then I came to the point of, maybe culture doesn't explain everything. And so I was introduced to personality type back at uni when I was in Scotland, and I revisited it and I said, maybe these 2 concepts together might be interesting as well. And so I became a Myers-Briggs. I became certified first, and then I got the Master Practitioner a couple of years after that. And I did some of my own research as well into how our cultural upbringing modifies the expression of our type preferences. And so like I said, I've done corporations, I've done individuals, I've done leaders, I've done students, I've worked with, I should say, I've worked with students, and now I work with couples, because I like to going through all the different, walks of life and meeting people from everywhere and seeing how this can help them be more of who they are.
Yeah, and I think that the common thread is people and communication, right? People
People and
and
communication above all. Yeah.
Very
Yeah.
cool. Yeah. Yeah. So I've traveled to Costa Rica a few times, and there's a lot of expats down there. And so I could see how having someone like you to sort of show them the ropes, or help them sort of cope with being that very specific and unique kind of person. An expat is kind of a specific thing, I think, can really help with figuring out life and figuring out how to live in a new place. Yeah.
Yeah.
Very cool. What is your die in a ditch belief?
The die in a ditch belief, which I think is a great name, by the way,
Thank you.
is that we are so complex, and specifically in the world of type, I see it. Obviously, there are lots of memes, lots of people talking about it, and self-awareness is a wonderful thing, and a little bit goes a long way. But the first thing that we learned in the Myers-Briggs certification actually is, with knowledge comes responsibility. So there is, it's easy to get carried away and to do a lot of damage. So what we don't want to do is be reductionist and be limiting in any way. So when somebody has, superficial knowledge of type, and I get it's super exciting, and that's the first thing you want to do. You learn about type, you go around and you say, oh, you're this, oh, you're that. It's so tempting.
Yes.
And it might even be correct, some of the time. But my belief is that these 4 letters, if you say, for somebody with ISTJ preferences, if you just went around and says, I'm an introvert, and if you reduced yourself to just that one letter, it's like driving a Maserati at 10 miles an hour. That's not it. Some people with ISTJ preferences or ISTP preferences, there's so much more to it.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Definitely.
So the my die in the ditch belief is that I understand our brain likes things easy. I understand we live in a time right now where social media is all about reducing it to 15-second TikToks. But I think we're doing ourselves a disservice if we're not actually sitting down with the person that we have in front of us and diving a little deeper and giving people the opportunity to talk a little more about what it is that lights them up and why it lights them up.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Personally, yeah, I mean, I would describe myself as an introvert, but I recognize that there are times when I'm definitely present more as an extrovert. I can go to a networking event and talk up all kinds of people. It's not hard. I like networking. It's fun for me, but it is draining, and I can only do so much before I'm like a puddle on the ground because I'm so tired, and so it's me. I think of it as, I need to put on a persona when I go into situations where I need to be more extroverted. When I was teaching in the classroom, I was definitely leaning more into that side of myself. So I agree. Yeah. I think it's really complex.
There's a lot more to us, everybody can do all things. It's just, so that's the other thing that I hear a lot and that I see a lot now that I'm back in, properly in the type world and specifically for relationships. So I've had people ask me, like, I have these preferences, who is my ideal partner? Honestly, there's like, I don't, there are very, very broadly speaking, maybe in theory, you can have a couple of pairings where you might have a similar communication style and you won't have that much work to do. But honestly, all relationships are work.
Yeah.
And all types can have relationships with all types. There's more to it.
Yeah,
just matching up the numbers, because we're not machines. We are people.
right. Just tell me what type to look for, and then I'll start.
Exactly. I'll have people fill out the form, and then you may date me. It's like, no, that's not how it should be. That's not how it works.
Yeah. Otherwise, there'd be a dating app with just figure out your personality type and match people up, right? There probably is that. I don't know.
I'm sure there are. I'm just saying it's not. And I'm not dissing those apps, but
Right.
Let me be the voice of invitation to go a little broader.
There you go. Yes, yes, yes. I mean, like you said, relationships are work. It doesn't matter if
Oh
you
yeah,
find the perfect type, it's still going to be work.
no such thing.
Good. I like that. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm curious, how do you work with couples? How does that work? Can you tell us about
Yes.
your process?
So the couples, I take them through a self-discovery process, and individually. I've done a little testing at the beginning of the year, and when I work with couples together to find out what their personality type preferences are, there is again a temptation to say, oh no, but you were doing this. Oh no, but you were doing that. So we're typing each partner individually.
Uh-huh.
And then I put the profiles together where I compare the information side by side around personality type, around relationship topics like communication, decision making, time management, the things that basically cause friction in my house. So I put that in the report because I figure if we're going through it, probably other people are as well.
Yeah.
And then we have a session where we come together and the three of us discuss. So what does it look like in your relationship? This is what the theory says. Does it apply? Does it not apply? Because that's the other thing. Not, 8 billion people, only 16 types. You're not going to 100% of the time agree with 100% of what your pattern, theoretically presents.
Yeah.
So it's a very much 1-on-2 then, debrief session over a couple of hours. And then if the couples decide to go forward, if they want some coaching around some of the issues, then we can do that as well.
Cool.
And a product that I have ready, which has the love profiles at the core of it, and then it comes with a workbook, is specifically for premarital prep. So if you're engaged or getting engaged, or if your children got engaged and you want to give them a present, this would be doing the love profiles together and then having 5 coaching sessions around top 5 relationship issues to prepare.
Right.
Not just for the wedding day, but the marriage that actually comes after.
Right. Right. Not just trying to get to the wedding. Yeah. Right. Oh, I like that a lot, because I think, traditionally we get marriage counseling through clergy, or we get it through, I don't know, some maybe you don't feel comfortable going to couples therapy before you're married. Maybe that seems weird.
Yes.
Right. But this kind of thing could be really helpful for couples who aren't necessarily religious.
Thank you for calling that out. So this program specifically is non-dogmatic and non-religious. So awesome. It's literally just looking at how you like to do things. Yeah. What makes you tick, what ticks you off.
Right. Oh man, that's cool. I like that. Last question. If you could go back in time and mentor your 20-year-old past self, what advice would you give her?
Yeah, I would say this is not all there is. And no, you're not fat. In a nutshell. Sorry.
Yeah.
Like
no, all of our 20-year-old past selves need to hear that, I think.
I love the body positivity and everything that I see coming up online. I didn't, unfortunately, not grow up. And, I came of age a little earlier when we were supposed to be all those things.
Yeah.
But I grew up in a small village in northern Germany, and I had a life plan. I had the boyfriend next door. I had and then we're going to do this, and then we're going to get married, and then we're going to have the thing, and then we're going to have the house and whatever, and the children. And it's it doesn't have to be what you think it is at 20. In fact, I'm in my mid 40s now, and I'm still changing. Like, I've changed careers, 3 times. And this is probably also not what I'll be doing for the rest of my life. And that's okay. So I know with youth, there comes such an urgency to do it right and to have it all figured out. And it's maybe give yourself some grace that you don't have to have it figured out. And it's fine.
Yeah. That's great. Yeah. So, wow, from a small village to studying out of the country in Scotland, right? Wow.
Yeah.
How did you make that
thought
decision?
I was mad.
Yeah, I bet they did. Especially your boyfriend, right?
Oh, yeah, no, that unfortunately fell by the wayside then.
Yeah.
But yeah, no, it's It started because I made friends. I was living in international dorms. I did an apprenticeship first to be a secretary.
Okay.
So I was working in a large pharmaceutical company in the middle of Germany, and I lived in international dorms, and there were people from Great Britain and the US that I befriended because, like, so since I was young, I like people from all over.
Right.
And they were looking at me and they were saying, "Why are you doing this?" And there are universities, there are countries, you can travel, and I was like, oh, amazing. Because nobody, like, I needed somebody to show me that other things existed and to give me permission to do that, because I was a good girl. I never really questioned anything very much, and but once my eyes were opened, so I wonder where we're going next.
Right. Yeah, I wonder where you're going to end up after this. Maybe Canada.
Who knows?
Who knows?
Who knows? I mean, the healthcare system, but we're not going to get into that.
No.
Okay.
But yeah, it's not too far from Brooklyn.
That's right.
Oh, well, thank you, Doris, for sitting down with me. This has been a lovely conversation.
Thank you. I had such a good time.
Cool. Tell us where we can find out more about you.
Yes. So yourloveprofiles.com is the main website. The courses that I was mentioning with the coaching and everything that you can go for individually, a self-discovery process, and as a couple as well, is yourloveprofiles.thinkific.com.
Okay.
And I think those two would be the main pages, and then you can find me. You can just call me. Also, I like talking to people. There's a contact form on the website. Just book a call and we'll have a chat.
Cool. All right. I'll put those links into the comments so everyone can.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, of course.
This was great.
Thank you.